Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's sad, but
We're
yes.
fucking living in. We're living in it. We are literally living. You can go into that movie and you can clips of shit that is going on right now. And it's like they watched Bullworth, they watched all of these movies that were making fun of things, and that's how they created what we live in today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Talking About It. Today, we have a friend of the show, one of my homies. We're talking with Jesse Moreno. You may have seen him at community meetings, events, or advocating for issues around El Paso. He's been just a wonderful example in the community, and we're going to be talking today about what drives someone to spend their time serving others, what keeps them going when progress feels slow, and how do we get more people involved in making our communities better. As you know, here at Talking About It, we truly believe that being involved in local community issues is super important. So I'm happy to have Jesse back, and welcome to Talking About It. Hi, Jesse.
Appreciate
Thank you
you.
so much. Yes.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I'm excited to be back. We got lots of stuff to talk about. A lot's happened. We're like in the middle of campaigning right now for the November election. Hopefully everyone comes out to vote. And I'm excited to keep people aware about what's going on, but more so give them opportunities, make them feel heard, and really give us a sense of I have a chance of making my world better. Um, Lately, one thing I've been wanting to make people aware about is the Federal Trade Commission is having some public comment hearings. Essentially, it's America's consumer protection agency. The previous ones I had presented to council were about online grocery fees, like when you order DoorDash or you order a delivery service fee from Walmart or Albertsons of those sorts. Sometimes depending on the hour or depending where you live, they charge an extra fee that was just happens to be unjust. Others are like with FMLA. If you believe you're not being represented properly, that was a perfect opportunity to go to the Federal Trade Commission and make sure that they're being held accountable. Your employer or any agency that's involved with that work and a few more like our energy as well. We know that energy has been going up across the nation. We want to make sure that those energy companies aren't subsidizing, they're not giving tax rebates or tax incentives or any type of cost decrease from their own just so they can have more profits. And I think that's critical to keep people aware, especially now with such large stakes at hand in November. And this federal administration, we want to be sure, and we as in, I really mean like all of us, like citizens
Yeah.
of El Paso, of Texas, of the nation, really want to better ourselves and keep people aware. And quite frankly, if people are finally feeling the effects of everything that's been going on in this federal administration, it's because they haven't voted, because they haven't been aware about the effects, because finally hitting them. I mean, you've seen business owners, you've seen those who are financially stable, you've seen those who are independent finally come out and say, why is all this happening? And it's because people aren't aware, they're not voting, and it's not just an El Paso thing, it's really a nation
Everywhere.
hmm It's now it's not the time to keep on sitting back and keep on allowing this to happen. And even if if you can't vote because you've been in jail, if you can't vote because you're a foreign citizen, if you can't vote because of some other issue, that does not mean your voice isn't heard. You should still come out there and support people who are candidates. Keep your public and your friends and family aware, whether that's work or at school or in your family circles. Just speaking about these issues allows us to feel more comfortable. It shouldn't be, any topic shouldn't be so divisive. It shouldn't be taboo. It shouldn't be, I'm too worried about bringing it up and then me not feel comfortable with them again. Because, I mean, if you've seen how our Congress was structured in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s, there was a very diverse group. It wasn't so polarizing as it is now. And it's, if only we gave a little bit more research into like our history of Congress you would understand. Even like in 2018, 17, 16, it wasn't even that divisive as it is now. I mean, you've seen Republican
Mhm.
Congress people seem reasonable now on today's terms if you see them 2016, 2015, because it wasn't so crazy. They weren't going after, uh, I guess, culture war issues. And we know that it's their same topics as to transgender studies,
Mhm.
LGBT rights, sometimes even want to take away abortion rights because I don't know why. And there's plenty of reasons I know everybody can state, but all of that isn't as effective as comparison to your affordability. If you can even get by past the biweekly checks, if you can get by having to pay all your utilities, if you can even have good transportation around the city. If you don't even have a home, why? I get that. Why should we be voting at all? I know we're always so busy with everything we're doing, but if you just gave a little bit of time, if you just reached out to people who you think maybe have a good answer, if you even reached out to your representatives or those who are involved, just question about what's going on and then get more information. You have months until November to prepare yourself about what's going to happen. God forbid Trump wants to do another insurrection because he knows he's going to lose these November elections. That gives you more reason to stay aware about and educate ourselves about how we got here in the first place. Um, long, long strip, long beginning, I just said, but all of it's really essential to us moving forward.
It is. No, it's super important. And I think that that's kind of where we need to get back, right? Is we need to get back to where we can have conversations about these issues. And if people actually looked at statistics and looked at data, if you look back to at least 10 years ago when 47 then 45 came along, all they're about is debunking science. Like it's just giving you this thing where like, oh no, that's real, that's not real, fake news, fake this, fake that, I didn't say that, I didn't do that, this is fake. And all that is doing is programming you to not even question things. It's just, oh, not believing anything. If you think back and look back to a lot of back to even like you said early 2000s, it was a time of teachers were revered. You wanted to be a teacher, you wanted to, there was a respect level, there was, and when this guy came in, that was the shift of tides where it was became about those issues. And if you look at statistics on the transgender issues and things like that, it's like I think something like 0.8% of the population or something. Like it's such a minute number that they focused on those things, and then what do? Fear. Oh, well, they're going to be going in the restrooms with you. They're going to be like, no. And all that does is it deflects from what they're trying to do. And the Republican Party, when it broke off into MAGA, that was the end of the Republican Party as we knew it. And I never thought in my life I would say I miss the old Republican Party, the McCains, even the Bushes, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy to think. Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's sad, but
We're
yes,
fucking living in. We're living in it. We are literally living. You can go into that movie and you can clips of shit that is going on right now. And it's like they watched Bullworth, they watched all of these movies that were uh making fun of things, and that's how they created what we live in today. So it is very important, y'all, that you have these conversations and that you start doing research and start looking outside of your algorithm and TikTok for news. We used to have newspapers, we used to have editorials, we used to have all of these things that were non-biased and they just wanted to put out facts. And I think we need to get back to that. I think slowly but surely we are going to get back to that. I hope.
right.
But yeah, I think Jesse, with you, like you say, you get tired of talking about problems And why you got so involved was because you wanted to be about it, right? That's what we say here. You wanted to be about it. You wanted to do something about it. What was the moment specifically that pushed you from observer into action?
Um, it's really when I've received calls from those in the community about where do I go to get my tree trimmed? Where do I go to pay my taxes? And they would tell me, and they would get these response, and they just wouldn't get solved. You know, it's not about cutting off this person because they have an issue. It's really about guiding their hand through the issue and like educating them and being patient with them. When I would receive calls from other government officials when I was younger, even like the bureaucrats involved, it was always seeming like this is what you do, go figure it out yourself. It was never, let
Mhm.
me help you understand why this is like this and why you have to go through this process. And then kind of start to question, well, I don't want to do that in the future. I don't want my kids to be doing that in the future. I don't want my family who's too busy working to go figure out later, like processing your property taxes. I mean, it sucks. It's a long process, but somebody should be out there making sure that those who don't even have internet access, who don't have any family in the house, are aware about how to go about this process. You know, really,
Mhm.
really make sure that we're taking care of one of another, and regardless of age or party or your income level, we should always be sure that we're keeping our neighbors aware. Um, and yeah, conversations as disregarding with those in office or with those in governments, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't suffice. I felt like I got shrugged off. That's when I really wanted to be sure I was involved. To just let's get inside, let's see how this works, let's figure it out. And quite frankly, what really got me involved was the misinformation we saw from even local media to national media to state media. And then having to go and talk about this with coworkers, with family and friends. And I would talk to them about like, what do you think about this? Like, is this really true? Like, do you know like the pretext of this? And nobody ever knew, like at least in my circles back then. And I was just like, this sucks. I don't want to keep living like this. It's burning my heart, questioning why it's like this. And I just want to go see if this is true. And if it is, then let's break it down and let's solve these issues. And now working in these circles, it makes me bring lots of ideas and really just let's just get to the sort the center of the issue and just solve it as best as we
Mhm.
can. But that
Yeah.
means carrying people's hands and guiding them to how we got here. So
Yeah. And educating, right? So we gotta educate, we gotta talk about, we gotta focus on the main things and what's important, not getting distracted by all of the shit that is getting slung around, and makes us lose our focus. But yeah, and like even with the property taxes and stuff like that, I help my grandfather. He's 90 now. And same thing, he like when he goes to pay his property taxes, he wants to like write everything out and go down to the thing and um put everything by paper, and it's like, "No, grandpa, we can do it online." Or like paying his taxes, it's like, "No, grandpa, I can do it online." And he's like, "What?" So, I think just giving a shit about our community and getting back together with our community is super important. And like you said, educating, and I think we need to have more public service announcements. We need to have more awareness around a lot of these things. Um, I think my eyes are getting worse. Like when I'm like looking close right here, I'm like, it looks all blurred. 45 has been something else, man. Jeez. I'm like 5 months into 45 and I wish I was back in my 20s.
you're telling me I pulled my back a couple. That was actually one of the answers. I think like towards the bottom, like what's important to you, and it was my health. Dude,
Yeah.
I had picked up like a tent like on the floor like last summer. And then like weeks later, I guess like whatever I pulled that day had like just finally snapped and
Mm.
my back went out for maybe like a week and a half. And I like literally was using a walker for 3 days because it was like that painful. And I just
Ugh.
kept thinking like, dude, I gotta stretch, I gotta work out better, I have to flow better like as my body. and it was just like so painful. I mean, having to
It
needing
is.
help toilet sucked. Just
I
say that.
Yeah, no, I believe it. Again, I'm in my 40s. 40s hits different. Um, I was talking with my mom earlier and I said something and she's like, "Yep, I've been dealing with it for." I said, getting older physically sucks." And she's like, "Yeah, I've been dealing with it for 20 years." I'm all, so 40?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I feel it." Okay, totally digressing, totally got off subject there. But let me see. So, community. Right now here locally, I think this goes across the board, but what is something you think that deserves more attention, as far as when it comes to being involved in the community?
Definitely volunteering. Volunteering at our immigration centers like Estrella, volunteering at our food bank, like the one in the Lower Valley, the El Paso's Fighting Hunger Food Bank, or the
Mhm.
one that's farther down in downtown. Even volunteering with community events, again with like your representatives, you get to know them. Volunteering a lot just makes you. It really opens up your mind. You're getting different perspectives, and you're kind of throwing yourself in there, and then yet keeping the sense of service. Meanwhile, I'm being a caring, friendly person with somebody who's going through a crisis, with somebody who's just kind of going about their day. Either of those really open up your head about what's at stake. Volunteering always helps. It might suck. I mean, I literally haven't had a Saturday off since like New Year's. Like that's how much many of us should be striving to be, volunteering. Open up your friendships, your network. I mean, I met somebody at an Escalate event that was like a festival, and now they're like a close friend because they do roofing and I do my work, and now we kind of like
Mhm.
work coherently. But volunteering is always the way to kind of bring that sense of community.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go out and volunteer, another way of just building community is going out to these small vendor events, these small shops that are happening downtown or happening in a neighborhood near you. Um, that way you can have some more sense of I feel more connected with who I'm with. There's lots of free events that the city does. There's lots of events at like the old Sheepdog Brewery. I love going there. They have plenty of good artists and good musicians. Um, but kind of really getting out of your shell is what's important to building community.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's important. I think also um it helps you find a purpose. If you mentally are struggling or if you're feeling burnout or if you're feeling stuck, I think volunteering and being involved in the community is very important. It helps you with that. Because like you said, it opens your mind, it gets you involved, you get to see what's going on in the community. And I think that's important. Well, I used to
Like,
do a lot of community service hours, but it was because I was like court ordered or something when I was a kid.
oh yeah. Dude, tell me
So I
about
used to
it.
volunteer. I used to volunteer a lot as a kid. So like or like growing up just in with my grandma like at the church always doing like the community service things like that. And I feel like we kind of have lost that, right? Like, I know for my kids I slacked it and we don't really didn't really do that a lot. But now more so now that they're older, it's like doing more things with like the government and local issues. But yeah, community
Like,
services where you meet people.
to be real, I think I grew out of to be real, I just grew out of playing video games at home, staying at home. I grew out of going out very often. And then I think when you're doing it often, I would hope that other people feel like this sucks. This is boring. I don't want to stay in all day. I don't want to, stick to my own circle. I want more. I want better. And it just snaps out of nowhere. And I think a lot of us kind of got stuck in that place during COVID, or we grew out of it during COVID. But that was a prime example of like you knew what your body needed. You needed to be outside. You needed to go collaborate with people to communicate. And it just sucks when I have like I grew out of friendships where all we ever did was just like play games and stay home, and I'm like this isn't what humans should be doing. Like at least going out there and like being active and having fun, but more so like I'm just curious about some my neighbor. I'm just curious about, some event that's like happening around the city. I'm just curious about what's happening on the news, wanting better, just being better. And it's just I just didn't like it. I didn't like it anymore. And ever since then just kind of stayed more involved. And when we as in like my family and friends just got more used to we're gonna go along with what's happening around the city. We're gonna go try something out. And I know that there's issues with affordability, but that still gives you a sense of we can go out and just try stuff that's, going to the park. I'm telling you, there's free stuff that's always happening. El Paso Matters is always posting those free events. Going out to different sites. We have lots of hiking trails in the city. Just giving a sense of, I'm curious about what's going on.
Jesse, that's a part of growing up, right? Is like we grow apart from relationships, and it doesn't mean that the friendship ends. All it means is that we're evolving, we're learning, we're curious, and I think that that's so very important. I think a lot of times in our culture specifically, it gets misconstrued as like, oh, they're pulling away, they think they're too good, they're doing this, they're doing that, and that's not necessarily the case. It's just a matter of like, no, like people can change, people can change and we can be okay. Um I've changed a lot of the things with some of the people that I grew up with and everything, and we still talk. We just do different shit and there's nothing wrong with it, you know? So I'm very proud of you because we started talking how long ago? It was right around election time. I think that was right when I started the podcast. So like 24 maybe?
Yeah, like the fall of 24.
Yeah. So that's like just to see your growth has been so fantastic. I'm so proud of you because you're doing so much in the community. I think that you're an excellent example of what leadership looks like. I think that we need more people who are young to start finding that within themselves, you know, and I think that the people that I've seen just recently like popping up in my feed, I'm like, okay, so like we're moving in the right direction. I think at least. Um, but let me see here. What is one thing people complain about all the time that they could actually help change? Oh,
I want to say voting, but that's too generic.
yes. No, that's what my thought would be is voting. It's not generic. It's
I
such
mean,
like a foreign concept to people.
one thing that could help is, yeah, I'm just gonna say voting. Voting, because look, like with all these budget deficits that's happening all over the city and all over the state has
Mhm.
been because of the state of Texas, our state legislature, our governor, Greg Abbott, our lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick, our attorney general, Ken Paxton, have been
Kick Jackson.
completely corrupt. They're facing issues. They're tackling problems like THC. Well, you know what I said when they had interviewed me about it? I said, if it's such a problem, go fucking tax it. Why don't you go tax the hell out of it? Don't take it out. But I know you don't want to get rid of alcohol. I know you don't want to go get DWIs and
Mhm.
DUI a greater charge like felonies. If that's such a problem, then go face that. Make sure people are
Mhm.
put on check if they're drinking and driving. Make sure that people are cautious about buying THC if it's such a safety issue. And many times it was just kind of us as in like I guess like my friends and coworkers being sure that we gotta tackle this by voting more. Um, One thing that's important that I feel like would be easily solved is if we voted more. If it was us being aware about how our state legislature was affecting us through all these budget deficits and all of these, I guess, issues that we're facing through financial terms and state resolutions, we wouldn't be so, I guess, chaotic about it. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Again, just getting involved, right? Just getting involved is really what it comes down to. Yeah, so just basically getting involved, right? Like getting involved, giving a shit, voting. When people are going back and they're listening to this episode, what is one thing that you want them to remember?
life's too short. Life is way too short. It's full of drama. You gotta cut the fat, cut that drama. You don't want any of it. Don't be selfish. Be caring about those who are less fortunate than you. if you ever see anybody who's unhoused, call 311. They can go provide support through one of our nonprofits or through Project Bravo, Project Arriba. They go out there and check on them. They allow them to take their items with them. If they don't, then that's fine. There's resources for them. Just because they're there doesn't mean that they don't want help. Once our services like PD or these projects go out there and provide them help, they can go to the opportunity center, they can go to a church, and they provide them a sense of relief. Especially when it's hot now, man. Don't let them be out there by themselves. Offer help as soon as you can. Be nice and kind to everybody because you really don't know what people are going through. I mean, like being nice and kind helps so much. I remember like a quick small story, man. I was going through it in high school, like crazy during football practice, just like shitty fucking day. I hated football, like bad. I would remember cussing on the way to football practice because I hated it that much. But I still went through with it because I knew it was gonna do something better. And one day we had like these big cones for like traffic was like our dummies, and I was the only one like picking them up and like putting them back. And my coach told me like thank you, and I was like just bawling under the mask. I don't know why. It meant a lot, and just be nice and kind to everybody. Calling in 311 if you see somebody on house, getting aware of all those services that are on 311, and getting out there, exploring new stuff, being curious about what you see on the news, and go and research it and just reach out to people, start random conversations with people you don't really talk to online. I have like thousands of people I want to reach out to, and I'm just like I'm just gonna see if they want to talk, because we need that community. We need to talk to human beings. We need to be sure that we're not isolating ourselves, and I think that's what we need to strive for. No, I can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The technical difficulties are real today, y'all. Ugh, technology. Love it and hate it. Um, yeah, I agree. I think that being just involved in the community is important. I think knowing that where to find those resources is imperative. And like you said, call 311 and just continue to get involved. Um, Jesse, I can't wait to see what you continue to do. I said this on our last conversation. Like I feel like you are the future of our leaders, and I just am so proud of you. And just thank you as always for coming on the show. I feel like we never have enough time to get to everything that we need to get to. I think a live would be good because the lives we can do a lot longer.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do that. Yeah, I'm down. I mean, only if you are, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for coming on. And how can people find you?
Find me on LinkedIn, Jesse Moreno. I post lots of my research on there. There's lots of stuff that's awesome on LinkedIn if you're a nerd. If you like to research, you'd like to know more. You can also find me on Instagram at Jesse Texas 915 and be out on the look for any upcoming updates, any announcements. And it's really important to just stay aware about what's going on in your city and your state and your nation.
Y'all, again, thank you for tuning in to these episodes. It's very important that we continue to bring awareness. Make sure that you're not only talking about it, but you're being about it. You're getting involved in the community. And for updates, you can follow us at talkingaboutit.com. If anybody is struggling mentally, you don't know where to go, reach out to 988, the crisis helpline. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.